Hi, it's Larissa. I'm just popping in to let everyone know that if we sound strangely hopeful in this episode, it's because we recorded it in the last week of December 2020. Oh, we were so young and naive in 2020. Well, happy 2021. Girl meets boy, girl modifies boy's subroutines.
Yes. Say 10 Our Fathers and call me in the morning.
Oh, man.
Wormhole. It's back.
Hey, listener, this is Lauren, and I have returned. Much
Yay!
like Crusher on season 3, I am back. Hi, Larissa.
Hi, Lauren. I'm so happy you're back.
Yes, all those Pulaskis. Just get out of here. Get out of here. I'm back.
The OG's back.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, Denise Crosby trying to figure out ways to get back on the show. I'm back. But I realized it's more appropriate for one of our guest stars that will pop in over and over again. I'm more of a Crusher, I think.
Yeah, you are a Crusher. Yeah. The guests are like James Cromwell.
Yeah.
Who just shows up all over the place. I think he just likes to wear a lot of prosthetics. You know what I mean?
Or mustaches. Doesn't he have a mustache in that one?
He's always got mustaches or other things glued to his
But he
head.
works very well. We're always happy to have him.
Yeah, we're always happy to have Zephyr and Cochran back.
Yeah, so welcome, guys, to Into the Wormhole with Lauren and Larissa. Sorry,
Hi.
Larissa and Lauren. I'm out of practice.
I mean,
I
whatever.
am back from maternity leave. I had a baby. So you guys hopefully had some fun episodes with Larissa and some of her Star Trek fans, fellow fans, including her sister. And I had a lot of fun listening to them while I was on maternity leave. Shore leave.
Yeah. She was on Ryza.
Oh,
If
God,
only.
if only. Last place you want to take a baby, I feel like, although you might make a baby there. Hey-o.
Yeah, that is the place you make the baby, not the place you bring the baby.
As promised, I have my Chateau Picard glass.
Yay!
I actually don't have wine, and so I filled it with a mule, which I think is very... By the way, it's like 11 a.m. It's not even noon yet, but...
You deserve it.
I know. It hasn't been since the very first couple of episodes because we recorded those the same night. We had some alcohol then, and then I stopped because of the pregnancy, and I made a vow before I left for maternity leave that I was going to have my Picard glass and have like a mimosa with you or something. So it became a mule, but at this point I'll take anything.
Yay!
Which seems very like 2020 anyways, is to just be like, yeah, it's
2020.
It's 11 in the morning. Why not?
The theme of 2020 is, at this point, I'll take anything.
Yeah. That's kind of like the weird thing about being a new mom or just a mom in 2020 is I feel like everyone's on the same plane as me, where it's like, I'm still wearing my pajamas. I haven't combed my hair in 4 days. Hey, but that's everyone right now.
Yeah.
So baby's doing fine. I'm doing fine. And I'm glad to be back. You had some really cool conversations about music therapy and representation of colonization in Star Trek. Listener, if you haven't heard those, go back a couple episodes, check them out. And now that I'm back, we're going to do something completely silly and maybe lowbrow and goofy, but that's because I'm back. So deal with it.
Yeah, deal with it. To celebrate the new year, which by the time you are hearing this, it'll be 2021. We decided, screw resolutions. Let's talk about guilty pleasures.
Yay.
Because, you know, watching that episode of Star Trek that you just love to watch, but maybe isn't like the coolest one. Or it's maybe the one that like has definitely ended up on some worst episode lists, but you still want to watch it.
It's kind of, I like it. I feel like this kind of goes back to Star Trek self-care.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. This is kind of like that.
And in this case, it's sort of the same, but now it's like, here's the episodes I may not admit to my fellow Star Trek fan right away that I enjoy, you know?
Yeah. I am excited.
We all need our vices right now. I think that's what we communicated to each other earlier.
I mean, I'm not diving deep into all my vices. I have quit some vices.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, I haven't been really drinking very much over quarantine just because I just haven't wanted to.
I couldn't drink because I was pregnant.
You couldn't drink because you were pregnant. I just didn't want to drink. I still, like, Christmas Day had a Bloody Mary.
Oh, good.
So, I mean, I'm like, I am it's not like I wasn't like, I need to quit drinking. I just was like, I don't really want to drink.
You're just not taking like a flamingo inner tube and like jumping into a pool of whiskey is what you're saying.
Yes. Which is what a lot of people are doing. And, I'm saying I understand.
On that note, has someone made an Enterprise pool float?
Oh my God.
Because I wouldn't be far off from those unicorn or flamingo inner tubes that are almost like sculptural in nature.
I know that there are Starfleet uniform bathing suits.
Yes, I've seen those.
So there has to be, I mean, there's an Enterprise pizza cutter. I have one.
Right, probably for me. Some company out there needs to get on making the Enterprise pool
floaty. It needs to happen. Oh, you know what? No, it shouldn't be the Enterprise. It should be DS9. DS9 is already a donut shape. It's already a donut shape.
That's true.
I mean,
we need both.
Make them both. Make them all. I want a DS9 pool floaty.
Can that be like, maybe that can be like the big one, like the one that's like the drink holder, you know?
Oh,
you can put like the bowl of chips in the middle and it becomes like the serving tray in the pool.
Yes.
These are 2021 dreams.
There are lots of options for drink holder positioning in the DS9 pool floaty. And
Pylon. Okay, my drink's in Pylon 8. Nobody touch it. All right. Are you ready to talk about some guilty pleasure episodes?
I really fucking am. I enjoyed the shit out of watching these. Obviously, these are our guilty pleasures. I was like squeaking and yelling at the screen and getting sassy with it. And Dan was like, "Are you usually like this when you watch Star Trek when I'm not around?" And I was like, maybe? I don't know. I think I'm getting a little extra juicy today because it's these episodes.
Well, and what I like too is that both these episodes got nominated for different reasons. One, the guilty pleasure, I think, is more the story. The other one is because, for me at least, the art direction. Like the story is just kind of like whatever, you could take it or leave it. And ironically, coincidentally, I should say, they have very similar names. I chose Next Generation Season 1 Haven, which coincidentally is a Lwaxana and Deanna Troi episode, but we're not going to focus on that so much. I know you guys just got like a healthy dose of that with Larissa and her sister. But before we get into that, I want to mention what you picked, because you picked Voyager's New Haven? No, what is it?
Fairhaven. Yes, they go take a tour of Yale University in New Haven, Connecticut.
The whiskey's already working. Yeah, they have oddly very similar names, but I actually think we should start with the Voyager episode first, because we had a lot of TNG the last one, and it seems kind of appropriate maybe to switch it up and talk about Janeway and her group.
Oh yeah, because we also just talked about Lwaxana on the last episode. Okay, so this is my pick. Fairhaven, Voyager, season 6, episode 12. I had thought about saving this episode because we had an idea to do a whole episode on falling in love on the holodeck.
Oh, well, we can still mention it.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have to. But this is like legit a very guilty pleasure for me. I think this episode is fucking great. So, Voyager is still lost in the Delta Quadrant, and they're sort of flying through an area of space where they have to just sort of coast on like a wave of some kind of space thing.
There's a storm coming.
There's
basically
a space storm, and they're just going to coast through it, but they have to kind of just sit tight and wait. So there's like a lot things that we can relate to right now. They just have to sort of she literally says batten down the hatches, and they all just have to like sit around and twiddle their thumbs. But instead of that, Tom and Harry have created this very exciting new holodeck program called Fairhaven, which is basically just hang out in a 19th century Irish village.
It's very like Disney. Like if Disney had Ireland Land or
Yes.
Epcot. It feels, I think, romanticized at best. At worst, maybe a little, non-PC.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's absolutely. It's supposed to be like idyllic, stereotypical Irish cliche, like fucking butterflies flying in the air and like a pretty girl with like nice rosy cheeks selling flowers on the cobblestone street, and
and it's
whatever.
like, we're Catholic and we drink. We're Irish. So we'll definitely acknowledge that. Like it's
absolutely. Yeah. Like no, it's just that's an eye roll. Anyway, it's like if the town in the animated Beauty and the Beast was in Ireland. Anyway, it's just like a place for them to go so that they're not bored out of their minds, and they can do whatever they want, basically. So Neelix convinces Janeway to just have an open door policy with this holodeck program, so people can come and go and stop in whenever they want, so that nobody like goes space crazy. And Janeway decides to check it out, and she meets this bartender, Michael Sullivan, who catches her eye, and he's like ruggedly handsome and witty and cute, and she like hangs out with him all night long. And then his wife shows up, and she's like, oops. And then she goes in and changes his parameters to be like her ideal man. And it's fucking love that scene, man. I love that part. She makes him a little bit taller. She makes him 3 centimeters taller.
Oh God, really make that much of a difference,
right? The facial hair part where she's like, make him clean shaven, and she's like, no, I don't like that. Put it back.
Yeah. 2 days growth.
I know. I fucking love that. That's wonderful. And then she kind of freaks out because she feels herself having feelings for him. So she decides to stop, not go back. And then I was like, so broody. He gets like so sad and like loses it because she hasn't come back to the holodeck and they've just been running this program. So he's had time to think about it. And she has this whole conversation with the doctor about how dangerous it is that she has this person that she can just change anything about him that she doesn't like and make him more and more perfect, and how like scary that is and how like weird it is. And the doctor is like, so just don't change anything anymore. And also says like, you need to do this. You need this. This is important, which is so lovely. And also so does Chakotay. Chakotay's like, go for it.
Well, can I just interrupt you to say, I love how, because he accidentally comes across them in the simulation.
Oh, so cute.
He kind of picks up on the fact that she's embarrassed, and that later on the bridge when they're in the real world, he's like, it was nice to see you having fun. And she says, yeah, he's charming, but he's all photons and force fields. And Chakotay says, that never stopped me before. And I love that because it's basically him saying like, hey, we all do it.
I fucked a hologram. He's like, I fuck a hologram.
Right? Yeah. Never stopped me before.
I mean, come on. Love that. So there's a big thing with the big storm, and they have to pull power from all parts of the ship so that they can get through this last part of the storm, which means they have to pull power from the holodecks and lose a bunch of Fairhaven in order to survive. So Tom says it's going to take like 7 weeks or something to build it back up. And but he can save Michael Sullivan. And so she goes back in and sees him again, and it's real cute. And then she locks herself out of being able to edit his subroutines anymore. And that's the end of the episode. And it's so fucking lovely.
Yeah, our podcast episode will probably be a lot of us laughing at both of these episodes. But on a more serious note, before we get to that, this is an episode that I always forget how much I enjoyed until I watch it. It's just kind of fun. But I'm touched at how the dilemma for Janeway, it's not just like a love lost story. It's touching that the part where she does change him turns into such a dilemma for her later on, that it becomes much more of a, not just, I found love of a hologram and he's not real. Like, you think that would be the whole premise of the episode. But for her, it's more about what would actually happen if I fell in love with someone that I could change with a snap of my fingers. Yeah. And what does that mean as far as how genuine that relationship is? It's not just about, hey, I'm in love with a quote unquote fake person. It becomes more about that dilemma for her. And that's kind of, I have to hand it to the episode. I think it's a little bit more sophisticated of a concept than people give it credit for.
Yes, I completely agree with that.
Yeah. Yes. And it's really nice. You're talking about good friend moments. You know, Chakotay is kind of talking to her in a more simplistic way about like, it's okay to do that behavior on the holodeck. Everyone does it. And then, the talk she has with the doctor later is much more about him saying, everyone's your subordinate and we're going to be stuck here in a long time. Like you said, Larissa, like she kind of needs to give herself permission to do this, not only for her sort of well-being, but yeah, it's like she has very limited. I love how he says, like, what, you're supposed to, like, just sleep with the random passing alien now and then?
Yeah. Like Picard?
So it becomes a bigger question of like, what does the captain actually do?
Yeah.
And honestly, I think all the members everyone in the crew should be given permission to do this.
Everyone should have their own Ponfar program.
Right? Yes.
I was thinking about how, like, dude, Doctor made Ponfar programs for Vorik and Tuvok. So why doesn't everyone get their own sexy program? I mean, come on.
Yeah. I would be encouraging this behavior if I was the captain, because, I mean, it's not just about like, hooking up with people or finding relationships in your sanity, but also if everybody was getting together then breaking up, that would be probably the most awkward, hostile environment.
Yes. Yes.
So it's like, we got to find other outlets.
Yeah, that's important. I mean, and I also really appreciated the acknowledgement of sexuality being important to existence, which is like, I think something Star Trek does occasionally, but also there's Ponfar, which is fucking weird. Like, I'm gonna die if I don't fuck right now.
Yeah, it's like they're a salmon or something.
Yeah, like, what is happening?
All these Vulcans going upstream.
Right. But this acknowledgement of sexuality being an important part of existence, and acknowledging that in a woman, which is something that I don't think Star Trek has done before this. I feel like in media in general, that's acknowledged in men overall. It's acknowledged that like men need to spread their seed or whatever, like, that kind of shit. But like, that's not really acknowledged in female characters in media much at all until recently, until like the era of WAP. So so it's nice to see this episode that came out in the 90s or like 2000 maybe be like, hey, Janeway has been alone for like 6 years and she gets horny too. This is important and she's lonely. Like I literally have in my notes, she's lonely and horny.
She has that line where she says, I think I've waited long enough.
Yes. Like when they have their first kiss. Oh, God. She's like, oh, God, please kiss me. I need to be kissed. I totally understand.
Well, and I feel like they're talking about something else, but they do a really good job of keeping it family, friendly.
Yes, absolutely. And I also looked it up and like, aside from like a couple of episodes where there's a little bit of sexual tension with Chakotay, she only has 2 romantic interests in the entirety of the show. One of them is Michael Sullivan, and the other one is that bad guy dude who's looking for telepaths in that one episode.
I know to some degree that was on purpose, especially with Kate Mulgrew, because they, with her being the first female captain, they didn't want to undermine her, or they didn't want to focus too much on any romances, like that one that you're talking about.
The Mahler guys
were the one where she and Chakotay are on the planet together, which is another guilty pleasure of mine.
I know, I love that one too.
Talk about like having them somewhat hook up, and I think Mulgrew pushed back on it. She was like, no. So you only get like the faintest of that possibility in that episode. But
and I actually appreciate that, especially because of the characters and the professional relationship. Like that makes sense. It makes sense to me. That they wouldn't hook up.
Even when they're left to like basically die on this planet. And
I know, God. Oh, I mean, if they had been there for longer than they were, they would have. True. They would have. But they're not there for very long.
I guess, I mean, he makes a fucking bathtub. Like, they've been there long enough for him to sculpt a bathtub.
I forgot that he makes a bathtub.
So... anyway, sorry.
He builds her a fucking spa soaking tub. Like, this is what women want. Build us bathrooms. Give us incredible bathrooms. Like, I don't really fucking care what my bedroom is like. Give me an incredible bathroom.
Give me a soaker tub.
Seriously. I want a steam shower. I want a big ass tub. This is for real. I'm not kidding. I want double sinks. I want space in my bathroom. Eucalyptus. But okay, so I understand those things. And I understand, like, it coming out at the time that it did and shit. I feel like if Voyager was coming out now, that the writers would be more willing to treat the Janeway character in a romantic sense more like Picard. Like, he doesn't really have hookups. He has, like, little sweet relationships with people,
micro relationships.
He has like his little micro relationship with Commander Darren. He has his little micro relationship with Vosh. Like he has, he
doesn't really have flings, right? Is that what you're saying? Like,
he doesn't have. Like, he's not like Riker, where he's like, I'm gonna go have a one night stand on Ryza, and it's gonna be fun, and then I'm gonna bring back a game that's gonna take over the whole ship.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
But it's not like you lose respect for Picard because he's having relationships with women that he's meeting. But Janeway, I feel like they would have given her more opportunities for that, is what I'm saying, nowadays than they did at the time. And then
I do, and I think that was on purpose.
Yeah,
I think even if you're given Picard and Janeway, like each of them 5 relationships throughout their 7 seasons. Even if it was the same amount and the same type, it would just feel different with it being a woman captain.
Yeah. They were definitely aware of that at the time.
Yes.
But here I am, like, Janeway needs to get laid. Like, I'm like, how, and it also, like, it makes it so apparent with the way that they contrast her from the bridge to the holodeck again, that it's so obvious how she has to, keep her shit together, because, like, how stressful of a situation is this? Like, her ship is lost in the Delta Quadrant. It's going to take like 70 years to get home. She has no contact with Starfleet. She's got to keep this whole shit running. And it's a lot. I mean, she's got way more pressure on her than Picard ever did. She's really holding everything together. Like, she literally needs a break. Like, she has to have one.
And she thought she had someone waiting for her. And I think since this is season 6, by then, is it Mark? Is that the name of the guy?
Mark.
Yeah, she finds out like Mark moved on and got married, and she's like,
which totally makes sense.
She's also kind of dealing with the fact that she probably wouldn't have been in a relationship because she thought this guy was waiting for her, and now it's not.
And she also acknowledges that it makes sense, and it's
true.
Yeah.
I think what's refreshing for me out of this story is that you're talking about the portrayal of male and female captains. This seems to be a nice combination of emotional relationship, which I think when you do get this for women at this time or in the past, when it's a relationship, it's more emotional or more like falling in love.
Yeah.
Whereas like men, it might be more sexual, just sex based, like Riker, you were saying.
Yeah, more
I
physical.
In this
and
case, it's a nice combination of both emotional, but sexuality, like you said. Like they're totally acknowledging the fact that it's just been a long time since she's been touched,
Yes.
Like she's just ready to get it on with this hologram guy. And so I think they played nicely with the fact that it's both those components together.
Yes, I totally agree. Because it also plays into her character as well, that she's attracted to intelligence. And we see that in the only other romantic interest that's not Chakotay, that's not on the ship, with that guy, the Mahler guy that...
Yeah. I forget that episode, but I remember it happening.
That they're playing an intellectual game with each other. And that's attractive to her, which I understand because I'm also attracted to intelligence. So that it makes sense that like she would want that aspect in a lover. So cool. Get it.
Well, and it's nice too, because when that scene happens where she's adjusting everything from his his intelligence level and his interest to the way he looks, I was thinking, first of all, I think it's refreshing that scene in a lesser episode, it really could just be a random scene. Like, oh, wouldn't it be fun if she goes in and makes him the perfect mate? And then there's never a callback to it. But there is, because that's the whole point of her
whole episode.
Dilemma later on, and her conflict is that I can always change this person and this is not reality.
Yeah.
That you can just change people. So that's nice that there's actually more to that scene than just it being there. But I was thinking, if you flipped this and it was Picard doing this to a female hologram, I was like, ooh, I don't think you can get away with that.
I don't know if
you sort of cry foul.
Yeah. It's
unless that storyline actually did progress that way. But before I remembered that, or that was revealed, I was thinking, I feel like you couldn't get away with this as well if it was like Riker or Picard.
Not at the time, definitely. I feel like the way that gender was sort of set up at the time in the 90s and early 2000s, I think it would definitely have been a little bit weird for a man to be making the perfect... it's delicate, right?
Yeah, right.
It's delicate.
Right. That's all I'm saying.
Like, if it's Picard and he's like, give her this education, like give her a master's degree from Caltech.
That's true. That's
you
true.
know, and like make her a little bit more brunette, or like give her red hair, like, and then
make her look like Crusher,
make her look like Beverly Crusher, make her a doctor, and then make her also know how to tap dance. but like if it's those because
that's a really good point.
If it's those traits and it's not like give her double D's,
yes,
then it's a little different. Then it's like, I'm looking for companionship. I'm not looking for a porn star. I'm looking for someone who will challenge me. I'm looking for someone who is interesting.
You are right. On that level, it would be totally appropriate.
Yeah. Like I can like now imagine Picard being like, make her interested in a like ethnomusicology. Like
an archaeology.
Like make her interested in like archaeology.
You're right though. That's a good point, that I could totally see that happening.
Yeah. That's the thing I think that makes it for me is like when she's like, make him more provocative.
Yeah, like curious about the world.
Yeah, that part I was like, ooh, you're getting in there, Janeway. I was like, I feel that.
So, if you feel like we're ready to move on with this episode, we're talking about some of the things we like about the concepts and the story, but also with it being a guilty pleasure, it can't be a guilty pleasure, I feel like, unless we recognize that there are some weaker points to it.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to talk to you about, like, we recognize that this isn't maybe the best episode. What are some of the things that we know make it a subpar episode for Star Trek?
Oh, God. Well, I mean, let's just, as we acknowledged earlier, the poor representation of Irish culture.
Yeah.
It's just so simplistic, and it's so, you're like we said earlier, it's so Disneyfied.
Yes.
It's like whatever. The only thing I saw that felt in the least bit authentic was the music in that dancing scene and the instruments used in that dancing scene. Those all were quite authentically Irish, traditionally Irish. Aside from that, it was like, yeah.
Yeah. You know what it makes me think about is how, I mean, in America, we celebrate St. Patrick's Day the way we celebrate Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
Which is very much like surface level acknowledgement of another culture.
Reason to get drunk.
And I think with this episode, because I'm not going to say all, but because most Irish people, I think we could say, are historically, whoa, hit my microphone. Caucasian, Anglo-Saxon.
Yeah. Because
it's
of the
not, it's
part
not
of
as
the world
apparent of the simplification. It's not as apparent as, like, again, a Cinco de Mayo with Mexico or other cultures that we might think of a minority race or something like that,
or like Chakotay.
Yes, or Native American. Yeah. That's another good example.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes that's what lends itself to the romanticizing of the Irish culture, especially in America. It's a little cringeworthy. It's not like, I don't want to go so far and say it's super offensive. I mean, it's not like Code of Honor where it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. And also because the portrayal, I mean, is that they're trying, Tom and Harry are trying to create an idyllic place to hang out so that they're distracted from the horrible shit they have to deal with every day. And the fact that they chose to make it 1800s Ireland is like, they chose that because they wanted it to be a Disney movie, basically. They chose that because they wanted it to be brave.
Well, and if you
Brave
think about it,
like,
again, it's like a very romantic setting and time period. It's
Yeah.
not like when, I mean, Irish immigrants, when they especially came to the U.S., they had a hard time.
Exactly. This is before Angela's Ashes came out, you guys.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like a kind of a moment where you could kind of cherry pick it and be like, oh,
yeah,
let's do this. It's so picturesque.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I guess what I mean is like they're because it's an escape. They're not going to acknowledge the like the potato famine. I almost said the tomato famine.
Well, and it's very, and not only for like Tom Paris's interpretation, but just for Star Trek and TV.
Yes, yes.
I mean, it's like there's a mention of leprechauns. There's Danny Boy.
Right. Yes.
There's God. What else? Oh, I think his name is Seamus. It's like literally the first
name
person
is
Tom
Seamus.
talks to, and I wrote down in my notes like, why did Tom even create this character? It seems like he's really kind of annoying Tom. But he talks about being like thrown out by his wife and needing there's something about it that just
needing a couple shillings to buy a pint.
Yes. It's like
Yeah.
there's drinking, there's arm wrestling, there's,
Yeah.
oh, my wife is you won't meet a better lass, but
Yeah.
she threw me out. And it just seems like there's a lot of, like you said, it makes your eyes roll. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
so
just
that's
like,
definitely one of the faults of this episode.
it's American culture taking like any foreign culture and like boiling it down and making it as simple as it's like fucking Mario and Luigi. You know what I mean?
Oh.
but it is,
Yeah.
you know, it's it's like that's not how Italian people talk. Come on. We do that with we do that with everything. We do that with Canada. We do that with everything. Also, P.S. The actor that plays Seamus is Bataille from The Inner Light.
Oh, yeah.
I had one of those moments that I have on a regular basis where I'm like, do I know this actor from Star Trek or do I know this actor from acting? It turns out I know this actor from Star Trek, from another Star Trek.
And we found out the bartender that Janeway falls in love with, Sullivan, right?
Michael Sullivan.
I looked him up very briefly. I don't remember his name. He's actually Irish. He
had the only good accent.
Nice. And he's been on Game of Thrones. I can't tell you what actor on Game of Thrones he's been in, but I looked it up really quickly. He's one of the earlier seasons. He has, more than one episode that he's in. He just doesn't show up for 5 minutes. But, I thought like, dude, that's pretty legit.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's almost like Game of Thrones is the new Next Generation where everyone's been on it at some point.
Yeah. Yeah.
We already know Bashir was on it.
I know, y'all, I've never seen Game of Thrones.
I have, and I still can't tell you what's going on. But
it's just, it seems like a lot of work. You guys, that's all I'm going to say. Game of Thrones seems like a lot of work. So yeah, the Irish representation, not so great. Not so great. Not so great.
I think the reason why this maybe isn't as successful of a Star Trek episode is just in the grand scheme of things, it just doesn't feel very Star Trek. It takes place 100% on the holodeck, and although sometimes that does work, it might also be like the Q and not Sherlock,
Sherwood Forest
writing, Robin Hood.
I almost started to say
Hood?
Peter Pan.
But it's kind of like there's viewers are sometimes going to like it when Star Trek takes a step into a different lane, and sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
But that again, that's not me acknowledging that this is an amazing episode and that it's a matter of taste. It's like, no, I could recognize this is not the strongest Star Trek episode.
Yeah,
but I think some of it is just, like I'm not a big fan of time travel in Star Trek. That's nothing against the episode. That's just my personal taste.
Yeah.
But in this case, I do acknowledge that I'm like, this episode's got some fun things about it, but it's not going to be the first episode I recommend to somebody.
Oh, absolutely. But I also wouldn't say skip it.
Yeah. I would say skip Spirit Folks.
Yeah, skip Spirit Folk. Don't skip Fairhaven.
I think this is a fun episode for Janeway.
Yeah. She's so cute in this episode. She's adorable.
The pull quote for this episode, like if they had a quote box. Fucking lovely. Larissa Maestro.
Lovely. For real. Oh, I had a thing I was going to say and now I forgot what it was.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I remember.
Oh.
This Irish representation does not seem as bad to me as Up the Long Ladder.
Oh, yes, that's true. The review I did read did point it out too. They said it's definitely better than Up the Long Ladder in TNG. But
yeah, that episode's bad.
Yeah, it's like they're all dirty drunks.
Ugh.
Who are just like, and the women are loud and just constantly looking for a good man.
Ugh. That episode's awful.
Yes.
I hate that episode so much. Anyway, that's my guilty pleasure pick.
All right. So my guilty pleasure pick.
Oh my God, Lauren. So I never watch the first season of TNG. I never go back on purpose and watch season 1. So this was a fucking treat. The whole time I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yes. Yes. I think, we talk a lot about season 1, and obviously in the Star Trek fandom universe, season 1 gets discussed a lot about not only TNG, probably all the, shows in the franchise. But if you want what I think is a fun episode to go back and check out season 1, Haven is definitely the way to go.
Yes.
Because for me, the story, it's like, who cares about the story, which I'll talk about in a little bit. For me, the art direction of this, it's a feast for the eyes. There is some season 1 action going on. There is some 80s action going on. And it's just, there's just so many moments. Yeah.
Yes.
It's like nonstop visual feast for just how ridiculous season 1 was.
Yep.
Yeah, in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually forget what episode this is. I know it's season 1, but
on Netflix, because of the way they do the numbering, it's episode 10. On the internet, they say it's episode 11. It's in there somewhere. It's around episode 10 or 11.
All right, I'm going to do my summary.
Yeah.
Even though I just finished my mule, so hopefully I'm okay. But basically all you need to know is that it turns out Troi was betrothed to a son of a, friends of the family years ago through her father. And now we fast forward and the family and her betrothed, her fiance, are coming on the ship to have the marriage happen. And Wyatt, the guy she's supposed to marry, is surprised to find that Troi is Troi because he thinks she's going to be somebody else, this woman that he has dreamed of his whole life. And so he just assumes that since Troi is half Betazoid, that it must be his fiance. We later find out there is a ship that is headed over to the planet where they are at. And the aliens on the planet are like, hey, this ship is full of a bunch of aliens that have this really lethal virus. You can't let them on. They're Trellians, right?
Trellians.
Yeah. They're like, keep the Trellians away. We're part of the Federation. You have to protect us.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the B story. And then we basically find out that Wyatt, the betrothed, has actually been in contact all these years with somebody on the Trellian ship. And he decides as a doctor that he is going to go over there, not only to be with the woman that he's been having this contact with all his life, but to hopefully cure them. And thus, Troi does not get married to him. The end.
Da, 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 da. And
Also,
Riker
it's very
is
important to point out that this is Lwaxana Troi's first episode.
Yes.
So if there are story highlights, it really is the fact that this is the first episode of Lwaxana Troi.
Oh, yeah. This is the first time you see Lwaxana and the first time you see Mr. Holm.
Yeah.
Then on top of that, every other cut, I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck?
Yes. I mean, it really is just like nonstop. Like, oh, man. And so not only like Star Trek kind of cheesy tropes, but just like sci-fi ones in general.
Yeah.
Like, just, the costume design, weird things. I feel like we're going to have to go through like a laundry list of just, maybe the visuals and then go from there. I'll have to bring up the whole Tyrellian ship. We have to talk about their I call it the Lisa
ship.
Frank mood ring ship.
Oh my God. It really is so Lisa Frank. I love it. I love it. I love that like all the screens on their bridge are just like, they basically just look like lava lamps. even stuff on the Enterprise, like that, the scene in the holodeck with Riker.
Yes.
I was like, this set is awesome.
Yes. So, oh my gosh. Okay. So where do we start?
Yeah, there's so much.
We go from the beginning. First of all, something you and I both loved was we see Riker very like, yeah. And he's enjoying these two women in metallic togas that are playing harp music. And then we find out that they're like 10 inches tall and it's a projection,
Yeah, tiny holograms.
This is Spotify in the future. Yeah, but I love how he's looking at it. He's like, yeah, harp ladies.
I was like, what the fuck is happening right now?
That to me felt very sci-fi.
Yeah, it really did. It really did. I wonder why we like never see that again.
We have another good moment in the beginning where the wedding gift, the bonding gift that is sent before the family comes on board of the betrothed man is a box that has a man's silver face that is it feels like something out of Pee-wee's Playhouse, right?
Yes, it really
like when
does.
Phil Hartman was in there.
Yeah.
But it's a silver, it's
slash that one episode with Loxana and Alexander on the holodeck.
Oh, that's right.
It feels like that too.
That felt very high tech compared to this.
Yeah.
But and it makes this announcement, and it's Armin Shimerman.
I know.
It's Quark. It's Quark before he was Quark.
It's his very first Star Trek appearance.
It's ridiculous.
When the jewels pop out.
Yes.
And everyone's like, oh my God.
I know Tasha's like, oh my God, fucking jewels. I've been surrounded by rape gangs, finally.
I know. But she's like freaked out, and then she's like, wow. And it's all just like plastic costume jewelry.
Exactly.
I do miss this Deanna look.
Oh, it's season 1 Troi.
Loved this. I'm pretty sure Marina Sirtis hated this.
I think she did. Yeah. They worked in season 2. They had a different costume designer come in.
Yeah.
And she worked a lot with Marina Sirtis to like work on Troy's look. So this one, she's got the kind of interesting season 1 jumpsuit. But she also has like the elaborate beaded hair. Yes.
The big like bun with like the jewels like sewn into her weave.
Yeah.
And then the belt, the like V-shaped belt thing. It's very fancy. It's very formal.
It feels very elaborate compared to what she turned into.
Yeah, it's
fussy. It's fussy.
It's very fussy. It feels like a lot of work.
Did you notice, by the way, that Loxana, midway through the episode, has like the same beaded hair? It's slightly different, but it's like woven in there. I thought that was interesting. They were trying to make it like a Betazoid thing.
Yeah. I love seeing this beginning of Loxana's like over the top costuming, even though everyone's pretty much wearing the same outfit the whole episode. In later episodes, you'd see Loxana change clothes several times throughout an episode and have different costumes. But this is like, I mean, this costume is excellent. It's so over the top. It's so bright. It's super low back. That she has the really bright like pink and red eyeshadow. The like all the stuff woven into her hair. It's just excellent. Dan was like, is that Moira Rose from Schitt's Creek? And I was like, oh my God, is Loxana Troi the OG Moira Rose? Yes, she is. They have totally the same vibe with like the wearing all the bonkers shit, the like weird way of communicating all of it's. I was like, that is astute.
Well, and I have to say here that Loxana obviously has had very loud outfits throughout the whole time she's existed in the franchise. But what I love is that this being her first episode, and especially being not only 1987, but Majel Roddenberry was an older woman in Hollywood. And I would say she reminds me of like my aunts. Like she's very broad shouldered. Like she isn't that kind of stereotypical beautiful woman. So the fact that she was so confident, so loud as Loxana, but also her costume change, her wardrobe change, where she does have like that deep cut in the back.
Yeah.
We're not talking about like, oh, it goes to her lower back. Like it is grazing basically her butt cleavage. Like
absolutely is. Yes.
And her butt crack is showing. But I love the fact that they were confident enough to put her in that dress.
Yes.
And have this woman not only be kind of eccentric, as Troi puts it, but they were like, look at her body. Look how... Yeah, she's just like all over the place, but it isn't done in a way that undermines her. Yeah,
they started her off being confident right out the gate. They didn't have to develop that. They were like, she is going to wear some sexy shit.
She is fierce.
Yes, she wears whatever the fuck she wants. She says whatever the fuck she wants. She does whatever the fuck she wants all the time from the very beginning.
I was going to say her first scene is great because... I mean, Troi just gives Picard the warning, like, my mother's a little eccentric. And then she comes, first of all, I love it. Like, she comes on board the transporter. Is that what I'm thinking?
Yes.
And she's backwards and she's has her arms out like she can't see. She's just like, where did everybody go? And she's like, oh, I hate it when it happens. And then immediately I wrote down this line. I loved it so much. She's like, oh, you must be the captain. And he goes, oh, that must be that, Betazoid ability. And she says, oh, that wasn't telepathy. That was just common sense. Like that. And she's just like, snap, 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 saying all the things. That's such a Luxana Troi moment. And it's literally in like the first minute we get her. And I love it. It says so much about her.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. It lays the groundwork for Luxana. That's why, like, watching this episode, it doesn't feel like it's her first episode because the groundwork for her character was laid so well. Fucking wonderful. Also, P.S., having Picard carry her very heavy bag joke, that was fucking lovely. Skinny little Patrick Stewart trying to lift this enormous copper-colored suitcase. Ugh. And then what's his name? What's the guy that plays Mr. Holmes' name? Ugh.
I forget his name. I'm just always like, Lurch from the Addams Family.
Yeah. Carol Stryken. He's just so fucking funny in this episode. I mean, he's always funny, but like this, he is so fucking funny in this episode. When he just like picks it up like no problem after Patrick Stewart's been like struggling with it. Just excellent. Ugh. Every moment of Luxana Troi in this episode, I'm just like, yes, 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 yes. Both of them. When I said Lurch. When Mr. Holmes / Lurch gets drunk at the dinner. He keeps hitting that little gong over and over again.
Oh my God. Okay, so we're going to get to the party scene.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's so much to talk about.
So
I don't blame
funny.
you.
Just so funny.
A laundry list real quick of some things before we get to the like epic party scene.
Yeah.
You and I both noticed like the beaded curtains in the room Luxana's in. And it's not like she went in and started dressing up the place. It really looks like this is how the room's supposed to be.
And this is just quarters on the Enterprise.
Yeah, on any day of the week. And so there's like beaded curtains. I love when Patrick Stewart, as Picard steps out of the room, he goes into a hallway where there's that like season 1 weird 80s wall treatment wallpaper.
Yeah.
It looks like it's the side of a outdated disposable soft drink cup, if that makes any sense.
Yes, I totally am with you. I'm with you.
And then there's this whole episode. If you look, there's just like weird fake plants. Like Crusher has a scene in sickbay where there's like a weird fake plant. There's just so many plants apparently on the Enterprise season 1.
Yeah, very much more like a hotel lobby situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The party.
Oh God, the party. Okay.
First of all, it's in this banquet hall, which, if I remember correctly, you see this sort of event space, I'm going to call it, only one other time in season 1, and then it's never used again. But it's like their hotel banquet room on the Enterprise.
Yes. This is before 10 Forward existed. This is because this is before Whoopi. So, and they created 10 Forward for Whoopi. So in later seasons, a scene like this would have happened in 10 Forward, but we don't have that set yet.
And this is so low rent. I love it in a loving way because I know their budget wasn't very much.
Yes.
And I can just feel the stress and the pain of the art director.
Oh, like, how do we make
as an
this
artist
look cool?
myself, where they're like, okay, we got these like cheap banquet chairs. We're going to put this cover on it. It looks kind of spacey.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you can tell they just had, like the same tables that they were using from catering that craft service had. It's like, we'll get those. Those are fine. They have like purple plastic dishware and forks and knives and plastic wine.
Plastic.
Like, did you notice that?
Yes, I did. I was like, are these disposable?
It really looks like a spring summer picnic melamine dishware they would have at Target.
Yes, it really does. It really does. Yeah.
Yeah, but they were like, this kind of looks futuristic. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, put
and
that
Luxana's
there.
plant pet is like a strand from Michael's.
Yes, exactly. We got to talk about that plant. At one point, Luxana Troi has a plant around her. I mean, it literally is a fake vine, like one you would find if you went to Michael's or Joann's Fabrics, and it was like a fake plant that's like ivy.
It's like basically a piece of wire with like plastic encasing it, and then, you know, fake leaves coming out of it, and they just have it like wrapped around her arm, and like they basically made it into a puppet.
It's a reverse shot, I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
Which means at one point
somebody
like,
pulled it back and then they
Wyatt's mom's arm, and I'm pretty sure it's a reverse shot where they just pulled it and then they, you know, played it in reverse in the episode, and so it looks like it's crawling on her.
Oh God, I love it.
But like that's what they did. They were like, we have this piece of fake plant. Sure, it's a space pet.
Yeah, and like this is there's no reason for this other than they're fighting with each other. So it's not like they this isn't like super important. But it's hilarious. It is hilarious. And all of this stuff is happening at the same time. Like this is happening at the same time that Mr. Holm is getting wasted and smashing that tiny gong over and over again. And Data is just standing there staring at everyone.
Carry through the franchise, which I love. That little gong, it comes back.
I love it. I love it so much. It's so
Tasha,
good.
By the way, honorable mention for Tasha Yar's hair.
Yes.
Did you notice it?
I did. Excellent. Can I do
like
that with my hair? Can I?
It is.
Do you think I can make my hair? I mean, this is like a.
I think you can pull it off.
Is this a lot of hairspray? Is this mousse?
This is a product hair dryer situation.
You got to dry it. You got to. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta sculpt that shit on your head. But she has like her Tasha dress hair on. And
yes, but it is like some Cyndi Lauper
80s shit going on.
80s shit. Yes, it is like high. It is high on her head. It is like
flock of seagulls.
Yes, flock of seagulls, or like Madonna.
Yes,
you know, like this like short haircut, but like fluffed up was a big deal in the 80s.
Her bangs are like a wave. Like there should be little surfers just like riding her fluffed up bangs. That's what it looks like.
80s hair is my favorite. Speaking of hair, Wyatt. His hair is Barry Gibb hair. That is some Bee Gees hair.
It's very late 80s, early 90s. It's like Gibb hair and pre what my friends and I called floppy 90s hero hair, which is like every animated Disney character almost had the same haircut of it being kind of just slightly floppy, but not as poofy as the 80s.
Yes. Prince Eric from The Little Mermaid.
Yes. I need to talk to you about Data, though, because one of the best moments of this episode is Data, who's observing the bickering families and then has that great line of like, would you please continue the petty bickering? After,
oh my God.
That's what Troi calls it.
Fucking
as she runs
hilarious.
Out of the room. Season 1 Data is very interesting. And I have often wondered, is this, it has to be somewhat of a writer thing because obviously Brent Spiner isn't in control of the actual lines or the notes in the script. Like, you know, it's not just how he's acting it. But I feel like season 1 Data sometimes shows emotion.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And this is one of those moments where he seems genuinely excited, not just curious, but like excited to be witnessing this. And I'm thinking like, that's not Data. And it's later where they finally honed in on Data's character and really understood how he should be played.
Yeah. One example of this would be when he's standing in the party and he's got this weird sort of creepy tiny smile on his face.
Yeah. Like in general, throughout the whole season 1, he just has moments where he reacts in a way where it does come off as emotional because he's fascinated or he's
absolutely
getting excited about what he's witnessing.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you can tell it's just like, oh, this is not like mature Data. This is Data. Yeah. This is them still figuring out who Data is as an android.
And I think that it is partially writing, but I also think that's definitely like Brent Spiner not quite knowing what to do yet. And it is, I mean, it is definitely, it's one of the reasons why, one of the many reasons why I have trouble watching season 1 of TNG, because Data's awkward. He's so awkward.
So
in this
is
season.
definitely like it's a funny scene, but it definitely to me is like, this is season 1 Data where he's curious, but he's still got like again that kind of like excitement, and you can tell it was like, okay, there's still Data's still cooking. He'll be ready in season 2, but he's still cooking in season 1.
Yeah. We don't have a nice sear on Data's on his outside yet. We don't have a crust yet.
The fat is still rendering.
Yeah, and I'm glad that they figured that out, because it was not working.
Yeah,
it was definitely not working. This is a fucking roller coaster ride of input. You know what I mean? Like, there's just so much going on. Honestly, I feel like I think you did a great job with the recap, but like, this episode feels like it's way too complicated, and there's way too much going on. But that's one of the reasons why I love it. Because it is just a nonstop fucking ride, like, the whole time. Also, I think the music in this episode is really good. It is so
because it is
over the
season
top
1 music.
It is season 1 music, but it is so over the top, schmaltzy, like Hollywood movie score. I have written in my notes, wow, there are a lot of violin solos. They're like, and it's all like Troi and Riker staring at each other, in pain and emotional distress.
Because you brought up Riker, and I did want to bring up, I feel like once again Riker has a what the fuck Riker moment where he's like, this is unfair to me.
It's like, shut
and I'm like,
up. This has nothing to do with you.
You're not in a relationship anymore.
Yeah, this is literally nothing to do with you, dude.
Yeah.
You're allowed to be sad, but like, you're not allowed to be mad at her.
Yeah, it brings me back to when we were talking about the child, and he's like, who's the father? And once again, Riker is
like, shut up,
being
Riker.
Oddly possessive for somebody he's not. And I mean, you shouldn't be possessive as someone, even if you are in a relationship with him.
Yeah.
But it's not like you're my girlfriend or you're my wife, and here comes this guy who says we're betrothed. You have to leave Riker and come with me. It's like, you guys are just friends. So why are you making it all about you?
Yeah. I mean, I think this is like we were saying with Data, this is some season 1 shit where like they do not really know yet what Deanna and Will's relationship is going to be. Also, she calls him Bill.
Yes, this is we don't have the beard, and we're still sometimes calling him Bill, which they
and it was so
abandoned.
confusing. I forgot about that. I was like, excuse me, what did you just say? Excuse
Billy?
me, did you just call him Bill?
Commander Billy.
Yeah, awkward. Commander Bill Riker. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. Commander Billiam Riker.
I would love it if when his father does show up, if he just calls him Billy. Like way Loxana always says little one.
Oh my God.
And he's like, don't call me Billy.
I wish they'd brought that back. Because it would have given them a like an Indiana Jones and it would have given them a sort of Harrison Ford, Sean Connery kind of.
Yeah, R.I.P. Sean Connery.
I know, R.I.P. R.I.P. Aw.
Indy, we named the dog Indy. My last question for you, kind of like point I wanted to talk about, was actually the writing of Wyatt as an individual, or Wyatt and Deanna's relationship, even though it was very short.
Yeah.
But I actually felt like I think there was something handled really nicely about Wyatt and this sort of betrothal. I wrote that Wyatt and the Wyatt-Diana dynamic is cute. He could have been really written as something that was very just surface level, like a warm body, or kind of just like a bro, just kind of like a sucky guy. But
he could have been a fucking weirdo,
or
like
weirdo.
What's that episode, The Perfect Mate, where she's supposed to marry
that guy,
marry that fucking weird asshole guy. He could have just been he could have just been like, I don't fucking care, whatever, I'm supposed to do this and I'll just do it, or like, I'm so disinterested in you.
Yeah.
But
I thought that Wyatt actually was given some personality, to the point where you're actually kind of sympathetic, not only to Troi, but to both of them. Like feels just as awkward as Troi. To me. And I thought that was kind of nice to see, especially in 1987.
Yeah. I will say that, like, I would have preferred if both of them were like, I don't want to do this. I would have preferred if, like, he showed her these pictures of this woman and had been like, I feel like I have to find her. Can you help me? And for her to be like, yeah, let's fucking figure this out. Like, I'm literally a psychologist. You're a doctor. Let's figure out what the fuck is going on. And then the whole thing happens. You know what I mean? Like,
that would be the new version.
That would be the new version.
Behind their parents' back.
Yes.
They're actually trying to track the woman down. And to their parents, they're acting like, yeah, everything's fine.
Yeah.
We're getting ready for the big day. But they're
Yeah.
like, okay, we have 3 days. We got to track her down.
Yes. Because, I mean, now an arranged marriage, I mean, we'd be like, no.
It still happens.
It does still happen. But I feel like now on Star Trek, with especially an alien like the Betazoids, which seem so modern and progressive. Like it does seem like this seems like a season 1 shit where they were like, premise. Oh yeah, arranged marriage, sure. They're not really thinking too hard about what the Betazoids are going to become.
Well, also it runs into problems because Wyatt is human, his parents are human.
Like what was the problem with making them Betazoid? Like, did they run out of contacts?
Yeah, it's just like everyone who's actually for this is human. So
why didn't they just make them all Betazoid? Like, why didn't they? I don't understand why they're human. That doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, like if the Miller family was a Betazoid family and Deanna's father thought, here's my best Betazoid friend, and this is a Betazoid ritual that would actually mean something. I'm going to go through with it, even though I'm human. That would make a little more sense.
Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah. No. Yeah. Whatever. It's season 1.
Right.
Whatever.
Season 1, am I right?
Exactly. Season 1, am I right? Over and over and over. So many times. This episode is really fucking fun. I really enjoyed it. Even though, like we said, there are some problems with some character things and some things that make no sense. And it's season 1 and it's weird. It is so entertaining. Like the production design and the art direction are so much fucking fun.
Yes. If you want to see a season 1 episode that sort of encompasses what season 1 was kind of about, as far as just the visual feast again of season 1 production, the season 1 music, some great character moments like Loxana Troi season 1. The story, the overall story itself is sort of like meh. You know, that's why this isn't really going to get high marks in as far as Star Trek episode ranking.
Yeah, who cares?
The episode's just kind of like whatever. It is the base base level of what you need for an episode. But wow, what a visual treat.
It is such a treat. It really is. It feels like a treat. It feels like candy.
Yeah, Star Trek candy.
It does feel like candy
when it comes to that. So,
yesterday I texted Lauren after we had both chosen our episodes and watched them and stuff. I texted Lauren, "Give me a lactate and bring on the cheese,"
which I was hoping that would come back. Yeah, in the episode, I'm like, I hope she says that. That was good. But yes, it is so cheesy for Star Trek, for sci-fi. That's why you want to watch this episode as a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, I love cheesy shit, you guys. I love it. Give me it. All the cheese. What's y'all's favorite guilty pleasure Trek episode? I would love to know what other people would choose for this kind of thing.
I'll even take it further. If you guys on Instagram, Into the Wormhole podcast, if you go ahead and direct message or post on or comment on one of our posts about what your guilty pleasure episode is, it might even be fun to take some of your guilty pleasure episodes watch them, and then do a podcast episode about them.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm totally down. Hey, people that we already know, send us your send us your guilty pleasure Star Trek episodes. I really want to know.
DJ, if you're listening to this, we'd love to know what your wife would suggest
yes,
as a guilty pleasure.
I want to know. I want to know.
Amanda,
I really do.
my brother,
yeah.
same thing.
What's your guilty pleasure? Tell us. Is it Enterprise?
Oh.
Let us know on Instagram at intothewormhole.podcast.
All right. Well, I think we got to wrap up. I can hear my baby crying.
Oh no!
I mean, someone's watching the baby. I'm not just
the baby is
my
alone.
Baby in the room next door, unattended.
Lauren just handed the baby an iPad and was like, "You got this, right? You're good." Hi, Happy New Year, everybody. We're finally out of this terrible year. Hopefully, this next year is better than 2020 was. I'm so excited that Lauren is back. And we're going to have some super fun episodes coming for you in 2021. So, yay!
I'm excited to be back.
Yay! Lauren's back! Everything's going to be fine. There's a vaccine.
The 2021 motto, everything is going to be fine.
We'll see.
I know. Wishful thinking, but
oh God,
cross your fingers.
Right? Okay.
Find us in the collective at intothewormhole.show, on Instagram at intothewormhole.podcast. Into the Wormhole is brought to you by We Own This Town.
Harry, why? Harry, why?